Hello, I'm Matthew.
I'm Dr. Bonnie Henry.
My first question is, should we be shaking hands right now?
Or should we be doing this instead?
Some Canadian kids are worried that they're gonna get infected and die. How likely is this gonna happen?
Most people who get infected with this, especially if you're young and healthy, have a pretty mild illness. It's kind of like having a cold, maybe a little bit more serious than that.
Okay.
But most of them do just fine and get better quickly.
Okay.
There's a small portion of people who get more severe illness and get a pneumonia or an infection in the lungs, and they may end up in hospital. And here in Canada, we have good systems to support people if they get that sick. And there's a very small percentage of people who've died, and they've mostly been older people.
Lots of people think this comes from a Chinese lab and one of the test tubes spilled.
Yeah.
And some people think this comes from a restaurant. Some people think that this just randomly started somehow.
No, it does not come from a Chinese food restaurant. It does not come from a lab with an accident. What we know is that it's much more mundane than that. It probably came from animals that were in this market that were being used for food, and it developed a genetic mutation that allowed it to start infecting humans.
I've heard about people avoiding Chinatown and Chinese people. What do you think about that?
That makes me feel really sad, and I think it's about misinformation. People are afraid, and you know, when they don't know what's going on, and there's sometimes scary headlines about things, people take reactions that are sometimes not good reactions and not warranted. There's no reason, if you're healthy, there's no reason not to go out and go to a Chinese food restaurant, be in Chinatown, have celebrations. And the really important message is, if you're not feeling well, even if you're a little bit concerned about not feeling well, then don't go out. Stay at home, take care of yourself, and don't pass it on to others.
There's a clip going around on TikTok of a girl wearing a mask while opening a package from China. Do we have to be worried about toys and electronics that are produced in China?
There's no evidence at all that this virus can be transmitted through things like that. And the virus doesn't live for a long period of time outside of the body. It needs your body's cells and your body's systems to reproduce itself. And it can stay in droplets on a surface, depending on temperatures and things like that, for maybe a couple of hours. But in a package that's come from China, no, there's no need for that.
Well, I've seen people wearing masks all over the place. Is this actually helpful?
Masks are helpful when you're sick, because what it does, these are respiratory, the virus can get in our saliva, and when we cough or sneeze, it can get out into the air, and then somebody else breathes it in. So if I'm wearing a mask, that keeps my secretions in, keeps my droplets in. So if you're not feeling well, then wearing a mask can work. If you think that wearing a mask is going to keep you from getting sick from somebody else, probably not.
Thank you so much. And handshake.
Handshake.
Yeah, now I understand. It's not that dangerous.